Once you've learned how to factor polynomials, it's good to stop and to think about what you need to do in order to factor the polynomial that you're looking at. You're only going to see the word that says factor, and that's a loaded word. There could be a lot of different ways to factor. You may also see the word factor completely. So what we're going to do right now is put together a mind map to help you go through the steps to figure out what you're supposed to do. Whenever you see a polynomial that says to factor, the first thing you want to do is put it in order. And that is going to be in descending order of highest exponents. So x squared, x to the first, and then no x's would go last. The constant would go last. After you've put it in order, step 2, you want to take out the greatest common factor of all the terms. The greatest common factor is your best friend. Sometimes after you take out the GCF, nothing else can be factored and you're done. Sometimes after you take out the GCF, you look at what's left over and you could factor more. Okay, that's the term factor completely. So when you look at what's left, you're going to look at step 3, how many terms? You're either going to have 2 terms, 3 terms, or 4 terms, and we're going to handle those differently. 2 terms. If you see a 2-term polynomial and it wants you to factor, most likely it is going to be the difference of 2 squares. 3 terms. Okay, we have 2 possibilities there. And 4 terms. Let's go to the 2-term polynomial. Difference of 2 squares. All right, that's our math cousins. Right? You're going to see the difference in the middle and 2 squares. A 4-term polynomial, we are going to factor by grouping. So here's an example here. And this is where I use the blue and the red to group the first 2 and then group the second 2. Okay, if you look in the comments, I'm going to put a link to the solutions of all of these, of how you factor them. And then you have your 3-term polynomials. And we have 2 different ways to factor a 3-term polynomial. First, you might have one that I call an easy one. And for an easy one, you're going to see a trinomial that starts with the number 1. The leading coefficient is 1. And if that's the case, you go straight to your 2 binomials, you put in the numbers, and then you'll be factored. If the leading coefficient does not start with the number 1, then we're going to use the AC method. So here's an example, 4x squared minus 9x plus 5. Okay, and the way that we did this was we labeled our A and our C, multiplied those 2, split up the middle term, and then that became a 4-term polynomial in which you're going to factor by grouping. So you want to follow this from the top down, okay, wherever it's going to lead you. Maybe it'll lead you there, maybe it'll lead you there, maybe there, and maybe there. All they're going to tell you to do is to factor. And you have to be able to follow these steps in order to get it correct.